everyone. Welcome to the T-Fix podcast. I'm Leona Liu, here with my co-host, Geoff Norman. And tonight, Geoff is Skyping in from Portland, Oregon. Geoff, how are you?
I am grand. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. So it might get a little noisy as tonight in Logan Square, there's a arts festival going on down the street. And occasionally it seems like there are random Screamo concerts going on. So they're very sporadic.
I could match you on that. I have sirens that will just appear.
All right, it's on. The competition is on.
I can pretend it's an art installation.
Well, I don't know if a Screamo concert is,
Hold on.
Okay.
Maybe the two could actually sync. You know, you'd have the Screamo concert going, whoa!
That might be the most fun Screamo concert. So I'm really excited to talk to you tonight because last week you were at the World Tea Expo in Las Vegas.
Indeed.
And not only were you there, but you were there on a panel.
Yep.
Talking about maybe sharing your experience. And were you on the panel with other bloggers?
I was on it was a panel that we've done for 6 years now. Yes, this was the 6th year of it. I've only been on 4 of the 6, just based upon attendance. And this year, the Tea Bloggers Roundtable was covering how we would review a tea-themed movie or how we would take notes, what kind of approach we would use if presented with the same material. And this year, we actually got to watch the Geoff Fuchs documentary on the Tea Horse Road, which was called The Tea Explorer, which was kind of cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I liked about 2/3 of the documentary.
Which part did you...
Everything that dealt with the Tea Horse Road. Anything else that dealt about the history of Thor and stuff like that was kind of wrong. But the actual documentary was well made. It was well presented. And then Joe Johnson, our moderator / den mother, helped basically coordinate us into presenting how we would approach the material presented in blog form, and then we would give our thing. And I probably went a little too insanely long in the 2 approaches I would have taken. But it was a good time. The attendees that were there seemed to get a lot out of it. Then after that, it was attending other classes and hitting the exhibit floor.
That's awesome. So the World Tea Expo started... So I found that it started in 2002. That was the first...
Yep. First Tea Expo was started in 2002 by George and Kim, and I'm probably going to butcher this last name, Jage, or Jaggy.
We apologize in advance.
We apologize in advance, George and Kim. It was founded by George and Kim in 2002, and he stepped down from hosting it in 2011 and still retained ownership until 2016, and then sold it to an events company called Penton. And then Penton the following year was bought out by Informa, which was a huge events company. And right now World Tea Expo is trying to still find its voice amidst this transition, because it pretty much started off as a trade show, kind of like E03, but for tea. And when it first started out, specialty tea, basically all the orthodox stuff, Garden Direct, Farm Direct, all this crud, didn't actually take center stage, and the international aspect also didn't take center stage until about like a couple of years in, until after it had gained a footing and kept going. And it also alternated several cities, so it wasn't just in Las Vegas. It was also in
the traveling show.
In some states that were back east, some states back south. It even split into two, or it had an offshoot expo called World Tea East, but then that merged back together, and then it also merged again with another one, Healthy Beverage Expo, for a couple of years when it was in Long Beach, California, and then it went back to being World Tea Expo again.
Oh, wow.
And it's not open to regular attendees. It's basically, it's a trade show. People that are in the trade are the ones that go. The only reason that I could go was because I'm technically press. And
congratulations.
Congratulations. And I had
made
no... Yeah, I made it to press. I get a badge and everything. I started going in 2013 at the urgings of, again, said den mother, Jo Johnson, who's a tea consultant, has been going since 2006. And when I first went, I had no idea what I was doing, and she kind of helped guide me into the directions instead of wandering around like a tea-drunk Labrador retriever. And, and I got to discover that it is not just a matter of like taking a look at shiny products and basking in how shiny they are and all their shininess, but also witnessing how people made transactions. Some people actually followed up on wholesale transactions that they had made with the companies, or started the contact to do future wholesale transactions, because most of the people there were either starting up a business, had a business, wanted to look for a particular thing that they could not find in their regular avenues. Like I knew a company that was trying to hunt down an organic kimun, which apparently is a rare thing.
Huh.
Even though it's mostly gone online, at the very least, what the expo serves as is a place for vendors, wholesalers, farm direct folks, tea sommeliers, tea consultants, and the like to converge and commiserate, network, and all that jazz.
Yeah.
And all the while, press are kind of swarming like tea-drunk Labradors.
AKA Geoff. Yeah, that's great. I was reading, so I've been following Tea Expo for a while. I've never attended one of the expos, but I think this year they said they had about 250 exhibitors.
Yeah.
And the pass itself is it's a little pricey. I mean, it is like a B2B expo, so it's like a conference.
Yeah.
And I remember for a previous job, I would go to Hong Kong for a lot of these for these expos, and my boss would always be like, "Oh, don't worry about emailing them. Just finalize the deal once you get there and once you meet up with the vendors." And so I imagine, like, similar, a lot of the vendors and distributors just met face to face and probably did a lot of handshake deals at the expo itself. Which is kind of cool.
It used to be a matter of where people would finalize deals at the expo itself and do the long sheets of paper and fill out and then shake the hands. But I was told when I was preparing for this talk that that actually changed somewhere between 2007, 2008, when Adagio basically said that they were going to do most of their wholesale stuff online and make their website more active for that approach. And that kind of changed the entire game. I mean, some were already doing online retail, but online wholesale was not exactly a normal thing, especially for the companies that were regular attendees at the expo or regular booth presences at the expo.
Okay. So you've been following the Tea Expo for like since the beginning, or just for ever since they kind of reached out to like have you in the show, in the expo? Like, how did you first hear about the World Tea Expo?
I first heard about it back in, the first rumblings that reached my ears was probably about 2009, 2010, when I was still mulling over starting up my own website. And I didn't think that it was anything that I would ever go to because I wasn't in the trade. I hadn't actually done any content writing for companies. And I had established some relationships with some vendors, but I mostly kept it at arm's length.
Yeah.
That changed around 2011, 2012. And then I saw that other bloggers were going to World Tea Expo as well. And then expressed interest, but never seriously until I was roped into, no, you're going to the 2013 one.
You have no choice. You're going.
Yeah, because that's when the Tea Bloggers Roundtable had its first panel. Was the 2013 Tea Expo, and then we've been doing it ever since. And
that's awesome.
Not to repeat myself, but since then I've tried to go as many times as I can.
Yeah, that's great. And so the 2010, 2011, that's your Steep Stories website, right?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Or no. 2011 was when I launched Steep Stories. Before that, I was just doing the tea review thing wherever.
Oh, right. Yep. You had mentioned that.
Yeah.
So I know we were chatting a little bit before you left for the Tea Expo, and you sent me a link to their app that they had. Yeah. Which was like kind of wild that an expo has their own app.
That is Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. That's only the second year that they've had the app. They didn't have it in 2016. They didn't formalize it until 2017, the one year I didn't go. And when I got the app and was told to download it, I kind of felt like an old man. It was, how do I work this darn fangled thing? I don't understand. Where's the floor plan thing? I can't find the booth I'm looking for.
I hope you were speaking like that the whole time during the expo.
I think I did it once or twice, but the app actually came in handy, particularly when I was attending classes. That's the part I didn't elaborate on, is that adjacent to the expo itself, there's also a certification program called World Tea Academy. So sommeliers and consultants can get a certification, among many.
Right, yeah, there's a lot of programs.
And there's also a business boot camp that takes place prior to the actual launch of Expo itself, too.
Like how to...
it's
a how-to in the business of tea.
Business boot camp, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Have you ever been to one of those?
No, because that is not included in the press pass deal. That costs money.
That's the 2 days before. Oh, yeah. I saw the tickets were kind of pricey too.
It is, and in years past, when I attended the classes, a lot of the things presented information I already knew. This was the first year when I was attending classes where I was presented with information that was new to me, and
that's great.
I'm not saying that was a shock. I'm not saying that the classes didn't present information, but it was usually geared toward those that were just entering either the tea business or furthering their tea knowledge along. And most of the ones in the tea blogger know are not. I'm not going to say we're at an advanced level. We're not. It's just we've been around long enough that a lot of it is basically a retread of things we've already acquired from other sources.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's so I know you were doing some Instagram live stories while you were at the expo. And I think one post, maybe this was on Twitter, but I remember one post you said you had your tea taken from you at the airport.
I mentioned that on Twitter. One of the advantages of Expo, even though not all companies are amenable to it, is some actually want to have their products featured by bloggers or writers that have that come through and try some of their products and want to feature it further.
Right.
Or we mention that we want to feature something further, and some years you don't get that much, some years you do. Most years I tend to come away with a lot more than intended, and this time I filled an entire carry-on bag with nothing but tea.
An entire carry-on bag?
An entire carry-on bag. I think I have...
So did you travel there with like a backpack full of clothes and then an empty carry-on?
Yes, I did.
That's awesome.
And as
You were prepared.
Yeah, this thing was filled with tea when I got home.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So that's about the size of a duffel bag.
That is basically a duffel bag, and it was pretty much full of tea, and I was pulled out of TSA. Oh, my luggage was pulled out of TSA so that they could look through what all the dead leaves in my bag were, including a rather questionable fermented tea cake.
Yeah. Did they have the dogs on you?
No, no dogs, but there was a swabbing or two, and I wasn't the only one that ran into a swabbing predicament. I can name 2 or 3 other people that came through that also ran into that as well.
I bet if they open that up, and I bet that looks so suspicious.
And a lot of the international travelers won't even bother doing a check if they're coming back with samples for future whatevers. They will mail it to their location so that they don't have to deal with any of that crap.
Oh, they don't have to, yeah. Yeah, I could imagine that's a little... I wonder if you don't really know much about tea. Like if your only understanding of tea is tea in tea bags.
Yeah.
And then you stop someone at the airport and they, you open their bag and it's full of these little sample packets of tea.
Yeah.
Like, would you believe them that that's tea?
No. In fact, it would be kind of weird going up to somebody and like, nah, dude, I swear these green leaves are tea. You're supposed to drink them.
This oolong, I swear, you only drink it.
That brings up another funny story. I had a layover in San Francisco, and I was drinking a red oolong in my tumbler, swishing it around, trying to kick back a migraine that was lurking in the back. Yeah. And as I was getting in line for boarding, a guy came up and was like, "Heading to World Tea Expo, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah, how did you know?" And it's like, the tumbler leaves. Nobody else is doing that here.
Your tea drinking level is just so much more advanced.
It's not advanced. It's so much easier to just grandpa style a tumbler of leaves than it is to
worry about the bag and having to gingerly put it in and then take it out and then hope that there aren't a lot of tannins in it.
Who is this voice? Is there a name to this voice that you're doing?
There is no name to the voice that I'm doing.
So I remember when I was selling tea, that a lot of customers would come in and ask, "Oh, what's the best way to drink tea on the go?" And there were a lot of tumblers, and they had a lot of these like pull-out filters on the top, and and so they would ask like, "Oh, what's this one? Is this one good? It looks like it would really do a great job filtering out the tea." And I'm like, no, don't get this one. Like, it was like the one that we were advised to sell, and I was like, don't get this one. Like, I was like, look, this is going to be, your tea's going to get everywhere. It's going to be a mess. Like, it won't be on the go. Where are you going to set the strainer once the tea, like, you don't want to oversteep your tea, and where are you going to set the strainer when, when it's done steeping? You're just going to set it in your car? You're going to get another, they're like, okay, all right, fine. It's like, don't deal with any of that stuff.
Yeah, when in reality, you could, if it's a good tea and it's whole leaf, it'll steep forever. Even like the tiny leaf Ming Hongs from Fujian will. I've steeped it for a half an hour on full boil and it's fine. Particularly Bailin Gongfu or Jinjin Mei. Even though Jinjin Mei is not a Ming Hong, it's same diff.
Same diff. We will not use complete words here. We're just gonna same diff.
Yeah. I'm on my third cup here, so.
Yeah, I'm on my. So I usually drink about halfway and then I'll fill it.
Drink about halfway and then refill. I do the same thing with the travel tumbler. I get to about leaf level, and then I'll just refill it, and I'll do that 2 or 3 more times depending on the tea.
Yeah. What are you drinking right now?
I'm so glad you asked, because I'm really happy I acquired this.
I will always ask you what you're drinking right now.
It is a green tea that is grown and processed in Mississippi.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
What type of you're drinking a green tea?
Yeah. That's the thing. I don't normally drink green tea. That's how
I know,
good
that's
this
why
stuff
I'm a little
is.
taken aback. I'm like, this is not in your normal repertoire of teas.
This is so far removed from my purview. I mean, but this is grown and processed by a partner team, Jason McDonald and Timothy Gibson, and Jason owns the farm. Timothy does the processing, and I believe it is a steamed green, but I would have to double check on the details of it. They do both an almost fully oxidized black and the green, and they both have almost, palate-wise, they almost have like a Korean bend to them.
Okay, so it's like a little toasty then.
But more often than not, it's just delicious. I would say that this is the best American green tea I've had, and I've only had like maybe 3 or 4, but it's the best that I've had so far.
That's amazing. So it's a Mississippi.
Yeah.
It's a Mississippi green.
Yeah, the garden is called the Great Mississippi Tea Company, and it's available through the Cultured Cup. They're the ones that carry it. And Jason and Timothy were at the expo, and that's how I was able to get a hold of some.
A little sample?
Yeah.
That's great. I'm gonna have to try. I'm gonna have to try that out. How does it compare to like a Japanese green?
It's it actually has some of the early umami notes of a Japanese green. That's what makes me think that it's steamed, but it also has a bit of the buttered, nutty quality of a Korean sejak as well. It has a lot more of a smooth body, mouth feel thing going on, which the Japanese greens don't really have unless they're pan-fried. Like Tamari Okucha has this sort of creamy underbelly to it that you want to pet, even though it might be a trap, like a cat.
You never know when it's going to scratch you.
You never know when it's going to scratch you, exactly.
A creamy underbelly like a cat.
But this one is, I almost think I want to subject it to boiling water at some point, because the leaves are really long and spindly.
Oh, to boiling water. Mm-hmm. And so when you do that, are you going to boil the leaves in? Are you actually going to boil the leaves or pour the boiling water over the leaves?
Boiling water and not boil the leaves in. That would, I think that would kill any loveliness that it would have.
That's good. I was like, maybe there's a process that Geoff is doing that I need to try.
Yeah, I totally have a plan. Really?
I throw the leaves in the kettle and then I just kill them.
I hope it turns out okay. Maybe there's a prayer to Luyu involved.
Yeah, that's... I'm just going to check on our timer real quick. Okay, so one of your posts from the World Tea Expo was an espresso tea machine, which kind of confused... the name so the name confused me.
Yeah,
because it didn't make sense. First of all,
still doesn't.
but also the picture that you took of this machine, it was huge.
Yeah, it was. It looked like a Star Wars device that was just basically going and then blowing out steam. It was like I was looking at a an alien locomotive meant for diminutive beings.
It looked, it was like a sleek looking machine though.
Yeah,
there was no from the view that I saw. There was no buttons on it. It was just like a sheet of like stainless steel, and I mean, is that supposed to be for a tea shop? You're struggling.
I'm struggling to how to do this. I'm really glad I don't know the company that put it out because I have a lot to say. First
Let's
off,
hear it.
tea espresso is basically just powdered tea.
Yep.
It's basically everything pretending to be matcha. That's what it is. It's like the instant green teas that you would get from Korea, Japan, and China.
Yep.
And I even ran into one from Assam, and I'm glad I didn't try it because it smelled like dirt. But the tea espresso came out with this sort of clear beverage. I don't know exactly what the tea base was used, but they had one that was a green and one that was a black. The black tasted okay, like a Russian style black tea that was like done as a concentrate below a samovar. Mm-hmm. But the green tea was absolutely revolting. It was
how so? How was it revolting? Wait, it's a clear. You said it was a clear drink?
It was clear. You could see through it. So how could it be an espresso if you could see through the dang tea?
What is it? Just flavoring that they're adding then, or
I don't know.
That's very weird. The black tea was also clear?
The black tea was sort of ruby colored, but you could still see through it a bit. Now, if it had been true like espresso to tea, it would be powdered and you wouldn't be able to see through it. Not that well, anyway. It would be kind of foggy looking, and this one wasn't foggy. It basically looked like just a standard tea liqueur with a worse taste.
So the green, did it taste like a green tea then?
Yes, but it tasted like a green tea that had been subjected to boiling water and then steeped and forgotten about for a day.
So like a Lipton green.
Like a Lipton green, yeah.
Sorry, Lipton, but
no, you got to call it out as it is. Lipton has its place, but green tea is not that place. That's furthest from its place.
So when the machine was, I think you only shared a picture of it, not a video.
No, it was a video.
Was it a video?
I took a video of it that basically showed, because I wanted to capture it steaming as it was pouring this little tiny cup of tea. It was basically doing all these bells and whistles and steampunky type things and then releasing pressure and then just to go do a tiny little cup.
That's so weird. I can't imagine what it was doing to the leaves. If the green tea came out clear and tasted not ideal, I guess.
I didn't research it any further because I didn't feel the need to. If I were to wage a guess, I believe that it was grinding the leaves and then presenting water through it, kind of like a Keurig, and then going from there. So it probably steeped for way too long while it was in the device, hence the release of pressure and all this stuff, and then pour it out.
Right.
And that was it.
And then a drop of bleach to clear to make it clear. That's probably what you were tasting.
Tasting bleach.
Just a tiny, tiny drop, to clear the liquid.
I tasted some weird things at Expo this year, but I would not say that anything tasted like bleach. For the most part, everything I put in my body tasted good.
That's good. That's really good. So we're coming up on about halfway through the show, so I guess we'll take a break, and when we come back, we can talk more about the Tea Expo, and I do want to ask you more about this Assam powdered tea that looked very curious and questionable in terms of flavor, but let's take a quick break, and we'll come back after the break.
All right. See ya.
See ya.
Hi there, I'm David.
And I'm Kate.
And we're the hosts of another Zelda podcast.
There are so many good podcasts out there, and some of them in particular concern The Legend of Zelda.
That's right, Kate, and we are another one of them. That is actually the name of our show, Another Zelda Podcast.
And in our show in particular, we talk about some of our favorite dungeons, characters, boss battles. We have top 10 lists.
Yeah, we do deep dives on game design and production aspects of the different Zelda games.
And we talk about our own experiences. We do some review episodes, talk about our challenges, our struggles, and our victories.
That's right. Really just almost anything that has to do with Zelda, we like to talk about it. A new episode comes out every other Friday, and you can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and YouTube.
And you can also check out our episodes on our website, anotherzeldapodcast.com.
That's right. All right, we will see you there.
Okay, bye.
Hey everyone, and we're back. Before the break, Geoff was talking a little bit about this espresso tea machine that we were able to see at the World Tea Expo. So, Geoff, I know right before you got back for the break, we were looking at our tea kettles, and yours actually had a temperature gauge on it.
Temperature dials.
So which one do you have?
The one I have, it's a model that's still available, but back in the day, from my birthday, my mom got me the Adagio Utility Kettle.
Oh, yeah, TEA, Utility, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically like a low rent one touch, but low rent is my middle name. So it doesn't have like a sophisticated temperature dial like a Zojirushi or a one touch or some of the other ones, but it has one that at least has a dial that identifies now you're in the green zone, now you're in the black zone, now you're just kind of heating water.
It's warm. Yeah. Warmer.
Which is fine. It goes well with my eyeball at philosophy toward tea prep.
I am all for the eyeball philosophy. Because you can't, measure precise measurements is tiring.
Yeah. When you're like first starting out, fine. I mean, if you really need to get the right leaf amount, to get the right grammage, and then go on, sure. I mean, just so you can find what you like and then go from there. But as soon as you do, it's just kind of like, I really don't have time to be precise about this. It's like the inevitable line of screw it really does apply after a while.
It's like, I don't have time to measure this.
I'm a busy man.
I have things going on.
To just stick the leaves in and just let them do their thing. And if they don't, then they don't understand me.
Did I mention I'm important?
Do you know who I am? Do you know who I know? Do you know what garden this is from?
Yeah, I'm actually the same way with cooking in terms of measuring. There's no measuring. I remember I've had friends come over and they're like, so do you have a measuring cup? I'm like, I do not own a measuring cup.
What is this measuring cup
What is a cup that measures? What is this?
I know not this word.
So my tea kettle is it only has an on-off button and there's no temperature setting. So I am the alarm. The alarm in your eyes.
Actually, that's fine because most of the time I just wait until the fish eyes bubbles appear and like right before then I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm done. That's oolong temperature right there.
That's it.
That's it. Good to go.
I usually let it get to a boil and then I'll just wait a while.
Yeah.
And then I'll swish the water around and let it cool a little bit. And I'm like, I think it's good now. I just feel it. Like, I feel like this is oolong temperature.
This is kismet because I also do the swish. But mostly not to cool it down, but more like, hurry up and color. I gotta go.
Oh, right. You had a video of the oolong swishing around in your tumbler.
Yeah, and that was just basically, I don't have 5 minutes. I might have to board the flight soon.
Hurry up.
Now, what are you drinking? I forgot to ask.
Oh, I'm drinking a hong cha, or a black tea. And the English is the Old Arbor black tea. It's a gushu hong cha. Yeah, and it's so pretty.
I know exactly which one. Is that one the one from...
Trying to show the
I've had one like that.
Video of it.
Is from Nanwo Shan.
This is for you, Geoff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello there, lovely.
Yeah, they're so pretty, and I might snag a picture of it later. But I just love the contrasting colors.
Yep.
Of the golden, like this beautiful golden color, and the larger leaves that are at the base, and it's just such a nice mix. It's so pretty to look at.
And chances are it's from if it's like the Nanwo Shan one I had way back when, it is prepared like the base material is prepared like mao cha, but without the quick pan frying thing. But and then given a really slow oxidation, so it's a black tea that requires a gong fu ish type prep.
Yeah, so this is one of the teas that I received in a bag from my mother.
Mystery tea
bag. But looking at it, I know that it's a gushu hong cha. I know it's an Old Arbor black tea.
Yep.
But beyond, there is no other. It's just in a brown zip bag, and there's no like writing on it, and there's no like official label on it. So I'm like, okay, like
in China, that's how you know it's legit.
I know. It's like, here you go.
Now, I saw the post on it, and you said it was a mushu hong cha instead of gushu hong cha, right?
Yeah, for the phonetic, I think writing of it is mushu. Maybe
Mushu?
I just typed it. Yeah, mushu hong cha.
The way somebody explained it to me is that mushu is not the actual like old growth trees, but trees that are from the same genetic material. So they are grafts from the old growth trees or seeds from those old growth trees. So they have the same genetic material as old growth trees, but maybe newer trees. That's what mushu
So that might have been a typo on my end, because the Chinese character is the gushu.
Gushu? Okay,
Yeah.
then then that's basically Old Arbor.
It's legit.
When
it
I
smells
was
so good.
segueing back to Expo.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I actually did pick up, there weren't very many poor vendors there. There were Chinese vendors aplenty. They tend to basically buy out like a row, and sometimes derogatorily I'll refer to it as China row, because it's basically a bunch of these booths that all look the same, have similar names. And I don't mean to say like they all look the same, but like literally it'll be like Hunan Trading Company, Hunan Training Limited, and then Hunan something else. Except this time, instead of just being Hunan, it was all Guizhou. So it was all people from Guizhou, wherever the heck Guizhou is. But there was one booth that I had the name written down and I forgot it. But they weren't selling. They were a Chinese company, a father-son op, but they weren't selling Chinese tea. They were selling tea that I believe was made in Yunnan, but was grown in Myanmar from gushu material.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you stopped at their booth.
I stopped by the booth and I tried a 2014 Myanmar Shangcha, and also a Myanmar Gushu white tea, which is in this totally not.
That looks legit. That's when you know it's legit. It's in
not
a
inconspicuous bag.
It's in a bag with no labels. From the source.
Yeah, I have no idea how I'm going to approach a write-up on that or not. I didn't want to dip into it now because I have 2 or 3 other teas from them, including a nondescript ball of Sheng. That was the free sample bit.
Do you?
Go ahead. What?
Oh, so when you receive these samples and there's no labels, do you make sure to write down all of the vendor and?
In this case, I actually knew what it was because it was the only white tea that looked like this that I got, and the bag actually came from a friend of mine who bought an entire canister of the stuff, and I just asked if I could shave off the top so that I had something to try myself, and she was amenable to that, and hopefully I'll get to that at some point. Not exactly sure when, but I did. 2 years ago at another expo, I ran into another booth where somebody had some Gushu white tea from Yunnan, and that was put into a Ziploc bag because he had nothing else to put it in. No label, no other information on it. Don't know where exactly it's from. It could be Yunnan. I'm thinking it's Yunnan because it tastes like Yunnan Asamaka, but it could also be old growth trees from the Phoenix Mountain area, so it could be old growth Shuishan for all I know also. I don't know.
Isn't that great when it's so mysterious?
Yeah. And that's actually kind of the beauty of the Chinese tea trade is some people call it dishonesty if you don't know the exact whereabouts of where things came from, or the exact story, the exact garden, or something like that. But part of it is, this is why people are so into pu'er, is because part of it is the mystery, is the mysticism. Why am I finding a dead bug in my shank cake? I don't know, but it probably tastes delicious too.
It was placed there to add to the flavor.
It was put there on purpose to add to the flavor.
It adds to the earthiness.
It adds to the earthiness. Now I know that
protein.
This was organic.
Oh, that is true. That is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
If there are bugs.
Yep.
That's a good sign.
Tis.
So you saw this Assam. Well, okay. So you shared a picture of this Assam matcha powder.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know if we could technically call it a matcha powder.
It's not. No, if it's not from Japan,
powder.
It's not a matcha. It's basically an Assam powdered tea. And I'm not going to defer to the credibility of the vendor. I'm not going to list the vendor that had it.
Right.
But someone had recommended their booth, saying that there was that thing there. A friend of mine and I stopped by that booth 2 to 3 times, and the booth person was not there twice.
They were hiding.
But they had everything on display, and so we were smelling through all of them. The white teas smelled fine. The Assam black teas, of course, smelled fine, but the powdered whatever, they called it a powdered green tea. It wasn't even green. It was beige. So there was that going against it, and I didn't put my nose in it because Lord knows I don't want to have a cocaine experience with dodgy powdered green tea from Assam.
Right.
But at least I put it to it, and I was just like, this doesn't smell earthy. This just smells like straight dirt. So someone had recommended that Assam powdered green tea was okay. Then we went over and smelled it, and I'm like, I am not putting that in my body.
Yeah, it looked it looked interesting.
Interesting is the word.
It was.
And well, I'm probably being hyperbolic there. I would put it in my body. Let's be honest. I would try it at least once. I mean, it's like going into a dodgy off-Broadway play. You're basically like, wow, it has the words off-Broadway and new performance art. Sure, why not?
It's a different style.
It's a different style,
yeah.
And I would probably take the same approach with that. I would be like, yeah, I'll prepare it like it's not as dodgy as a Kenyan matcha well, I had.
Yeah, right. So do you think this type of tea, would you froth? Would you froth this?
Yep.
Similar
Or
to
try.
matcha?
I would try to froth it. There's no guarantee that it would actually froth, but
I think this is a job for the Japanese tea ceremony robot.
okay, yeah, exactly. If we're going to be off brand here, then let's go all the way. This is going to be done by machine, and we're going to play bongo drums in the background. Or no,
the machine has the bongo drum.
the machine has the bongo drum, and not just a bongo drum. It has to be like the dodgiest bongo drum ever, like like maybe like an Irish badran made of deer skin.
How very specific of you.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned speaking of these machines that, I don't know if we could categorize this robot as a machine that makes tea, but you...
For those that are don't know what she's referencing, she sent me a video that she insisted was soothing of a robot that was making matcha. And it was a clever robot, but soothing was not the word I would use.
It was violent and loud.
Mm-hmm. It was the angriest matcha prep I've ever seen and done, besides one that I recorded myself that you could probably find on YouTube.
Please link us. Yeah, it was the most aggressive Japanese tea ceremony you would probably ever experience, and
Yep.
maybe we'll send a link to that video. But
Sure.
so you had mentioned the One Touch. Were you talking about the Breville One Touch before when you're talking about the tea maker?
Yes, I was talking about the Breville One Touch when we
Have
were
you-
comparing kettles.
You don't. Have you ever? I think I've only ran the machine once.
I've never
touched
used one.
go on it once.
Yeah, I don't have $300
For a tea machine, right?
Yeah, I $300 on anything tea related kind of just makes it go, that's not happening. But someday it'll happen. But I'll stick with my $60-$70 utility kettle, if only for the cheesy name. But the story related to that, I actually did have excess cash at one of the expos, 2016, and Zojirushi had a booth that year, and I purchased one. I actually filled out an invoice to purchase one and have it delivered to me. I believe it was like one of the low end ones, so it was about $150 or $200.
Yep.
Never processed the invoice, never sent it to me.
It was not meant to be.
2 years.
They're like, Geoff Norman, I think you can wait on this.
And I seriously hope a rep for Zoji is not listening to this, because lo and behold, they'll watch or listen to this and be like, oh, he thinks we won't process the invoice.
Oh,
now we will that. Enjoy the overdraft, dude.
They're like, get on this. Geoff Norman, he placed an order. We need to process this.
At this point, they should send me a free Zoji. Make me happy.
Wait, I need one too.
Send her one too.
I need it on this. If one is sent to you, not to me, I will go cry in a corner for a while.
We'll totally devote time. Sponsored by Zoji.
Yeah, that's on my bucket list of machines to eventually, hopefully, acquire.
The Zojirushi? Mm-hmm. It's a good device. I've used it before. I mean, when I was doing some content writing work, I had to continuously make new teas, and it kept the water that was in it at a set temperature the entire time, and it's a great device. I wish I had one. I did all the paperwork to have one.
You had every intention of acquiring one.
Had every intention, but it was not meant to be.
It's really, the universe was trying to tell you something there.
It's almost like the spirit of my my utility tea kettle is like, we're not done yet. We are in a committed relationship.
You're not leaving me.
You are not leaving me for that boxy thing.
Wait, so you used one before, but it
I
wasn't.
have used, yeah.
But it wasn't yours.
It wasn't mine. I was working for a company doing some writing, and I had to continuously do some tea stuff for some content thing, and I don't know how precise I can be about it, but I had to use a Zoji pretty regularly and get acquainted with it, even though at first it was kind of like me working a camera. It was going, how does this thing work? What is it? I don't want boiling water. I want 180 degree Fahrenheit water. Why is this set to Celsius?
I think we need to have like a dress up character when you like something you just like throw on real quick, like a hat and like maybe a clip on beard. Just for the viewer.
No, I have a hat somewhere, but
I know. I think I know which hat you're talking about too.
I have that hat. I also have another one that was for a wedding. I could put on it.
So you have the investigative piece.
I have the investigator hat, and then I have a total old man hat.
We will eventually need to see this hat, but maybe on the next show.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so Assam powder. Maybe if we come across it, I'll try it. Yep. And then there was also this interesting, like you had a Japanese smoked tea.
Yeah.
Did you try it?
I did, and I was actually surprised that they were willing to open it, because that bottle, it was a ready to drink smoked Japanese black tea. So it was already brewed, and I believe they were using like ascorbic acid or citric acid to keep it stored as such. So it was basically like a fancy RTD. And the giant bottle, which was, I believe, I think it was either a 22 or a 32 ounce bottle.
Yeah, it was pretty large.
Their asking price is $200.
What? For the bottle?
For the bottle.
One bottle?
For the bottle is like $200, $300. And not only that, but they were all over the place, like recording our reactions, filming our reactions as we were trying it. Like 2 or 3 other people had told me that I had to try it. Mm-hmm. So naturally, I do what I'm told, because I'm easy like that.
Okay. But disclaimer.
it tasted like a ready to drink Lapsang Souchong, except gentler.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
like somebody in a smoking jacket giving your tongue a massage.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you tried like one little shot of it then?
Yes, basically a shot of it. And it was actually, I had about 2 or 3 shots, because I was like, hold on, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. How much was this? 200? Yeah, I think I need to try this again.
Hold on, I'm not quite sure. You need to record a better reaction. That was not my good side.
That was the test. This is the real one.
This is the real one.
This is the real reaction.
I wish I could remember the company name on that one too, but it's in my notes somewhere. Yeah, I forget.
No, I didn't know it was I don't know. I just thought it was like a ready to go, like a normal prepackaged kind of tea. I didn't realize it was such a pricey beverage.
Yeah, I don't know what else there was to it to warrant that kind of asking price, other than the fact that it's a Japanese black tea, which those tend to be a little bit on the pricey side, especially if they are like from a single garden, single processor type of thing. I have a couple of Benefuki cultivar black teas, which run retail about $9 or $10 an ounce. Mm-hmm. But that's just straight up leaves at $9 to $10 an ounce. It's not like it's $200 an ounce.
Right. You could probably fill up that whole container of the beverage with tea, and it would.
And dollop my own ascorbic acid to store it. Yeah.
Okay, so we need an acid supplier. And
Do
we're
you
in
know
business.
do you know a morally ambiguous acid supplier? And not that kind of acid, not the hallucinogen. We need the storage acid. We need the vitamin C stuff. No,
less
not that
exciting
vitamin. I know what that's a euphemism for. I meant the actual vitamin.
We need it to package things.
We need it to package tea. No, I will not go into your lab. That's just a van.
Oh gosh, that's so. So it tasted like a Lapsang Souchong.
Very similar
But
to a
lighter.
Lapsang Souchong. And I've had other Japanese smoked black teas, which also have a similar profile to Lapsang Souchong, except less rough and some semblance of nuance.
So before the break, you had mentioned the Great Mississippi Tea Company about the green tea that's grown in Mississippi.
Yeah, which is totally like making me unfiltered and unhinged.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna reach out and see if I can get a little sample of this.
It's
I
good.
mean, from your. I'm actually out of a lot of green tea. I think I only have one type left. I just have a ton of pu'er now.
Well, you had a Taiping Huokui that I saw. Am I even saying that right?
Yeah,
Huokui.
yeah. Yeah. So that one, but that one I feel like you go through so fast. You know, like greens.
Yeah.
You just anytime I have a green tea, you just drink it up right away.
Yeah.
Whereas pu'er, like I think I told you in our last episode, the pu'er, I'll put it in the fridge.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do like 1 or 2 steeps, and then I'll put it in the fridge, and then I'll keep drinking it the next day. And so the green, I just kind of, it's hard to keep any. Well, I mean, not that you should keep any green tea for a very long time, anyways. But
Right.
But
Yeah, I actually got to try Taiping Huokui for the first time at Expo.
right, you had mentioned that, yeah.
Which is funny because that and Baiji Guan were two of the famous Chinese green teas that I somehow kept skipping. I kept on thinking, I'll get to it later. And then 10 years later, and it's not like it hadn't been sent to me before, because I've had vendor friends of mine send me. I found a sample of Taiping Huokui from 2014 that hadn't been opened.
Gosh. There's like no flavor left in...
Probably not, but I still want to break it open just to see, just for giggles. And then I even had another vendor friend of mine send me some to finally do it, even though he said that it was that they're best tried only about 2 or 3 months after picking and processing. Mm-hmm. And he sent them, and I didn't get to them again. So a year had passed already, but by the time they were picked to the time when I finally remembered, oh yeah, I got to try those. A year had gone by, so they weren't at their optimal taste level. So, luckily, there's Expo proper, and then there are after parties. Basically, people that are brewing tea after hours. Some people go off to drink actual beverages, and then there are those that drink actual beverages and also tea. And I was lucky enough to attend a couple of these over the course of my week while I was at Expo. Mm-hmm. And I was able to try a Baiji Guan, a Taiping Huokui. Oh, I had the Taiping Huokui on the first day. I had the Baiji... Okay. Oh, wait. Gosh, I am... Okay.
This is what happens when you drink green tea.
Baiji Guan is a Wu Yi Oolong. I'm correcting myself. I meant An Chi Bai Cha. I've tried my first An Chi Bai Cha. Mm-hmm. Baiji Guan is a Wu Yi Oolong from another albino cultivar. An Chi Bai Cha is what I tried for the first time.
Okay.
On the last day of Expo. Basically... somewhere between 1 and 2 a.m., somebody broke out a Baiji Guan. Or not a Baiji Guan. Anchi Bai Cha. And it had notes of vanilla. And then somebody had mentioned, do you taste Southern fried chicken in this?
Oh, gosh. It's yes.
And then the moment that he said it, I was just like, yeah.
Really?
Really? And it wasn't like it was brewed wrong. It was brewed correctly, but there is a Kentucky Fried Chicken, not the brand, an actual Kentucky Fried Chicken note somewhere on the end, somewhere toward like the comeback sweetness. There is something that is reminiscent of chicken. And worse off, it was a Southern dude that brought this to my attention. It was like, aren't you tasting fried chicken? And I'm just like, now that you mention it, thanks.
So this is nothing to do with drinking a lot of tea and it being 2 a.m., right?
No, this because they had it before, and they said that the note was still there, and I wasn't believing them. I was being a doubting Thomas, and
sorry,
and
Thomas.
then I tried it, and at first I was getting vanilla, and then suddenly, as soon as he said it, a chicken popped into my palate, and it was just like crap.
Fried chicken, the best kind.
Yeah.
So it started with notes of vanilla, and then it ended with fried chicken.
It ended with fried chicken. Which is how you want every meal to end.
It's true. And then there's waffles at the end too.
Yeah.
Which you need with the fried chicken.
I don't think I've had a tea that tastes like waffles yet.
I have not had a tea that tastes like fried chicken yet, so so I need to get on that.
I've had teas that taste like hickory smoked steak.
Oh, is that the smoked one?
Any of the heavily smoked teas will kind of taste like stove.
Yeah, I could see that.
For instance, I have this at one of the other after party gatherings. I picked up a black tea from Malawi that was smoked over guava wood. The cultivar is called, I believe the cultivar is Thiolo or Jolo. And what's funny is I didn't know which garden it was from when I bought it. I basically just smelled it and I'm like, done. Take my money. And then at another after party, I met the gardeners because they had a booth at Expo. And then I was just going off on, wow, that smells so good. And the guy was like, yeah. He kind of had that look on his face like, I think I need an adult.
So it smells, what is it, what do those leaves look like?
They kind of look like just standard black tea that kind of had been soot. Yeah. Hold on. Let's see if I can do this without tipping the camera over. Yeah, there you go. There you are. There we are. All right.
So Geoff is standing and showing the leaves to the camera.
They basically look like medium cut leaves that had been put on a stove.
Yeah, that voice was Geoff talking to the viewers. Here you go.
Oh yeah, I probably shouldn't have methoded that. I should have explained what I was doing before I stood up.
It's okay. We got you covered.
And now he's doing an interpretive dance.
He's not doing an interpretive dance. But if this is you dancing, I will accept it.
Shifting back and forth with a cup in my hand. Not moving much because I'm a lazy man.
That's going to be our new intro song for Geoff.
I'm on Steep. I'm sorry, I'm on Steep 4 or 5. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're actually coming up on on about halfway through the second half of the episode. I'm a little, I don't know how many cups I've had, but I'm feeling very great
Yeah.
right now.
So great. So great.
So many great feelings. I feel like every
so
episode
many feelings right now.
I have a feeling every episode is going to end with us being slightly tea drunk.
Which is fine, especially if we have to go to work the next morning and it was like, well...
Last night was crazy, guys.
Last night was crazy, guys.
It was out of control.
I was in front of a camera. I had a cup in hand.
There's a lot of drinking involved.
There was a lot of drinking involved. Maybe I should put this into better context.
I was drinking tea. I know. I need to calm down.
There was a couple in Chicago involved. What? Why are you guys walking away slowly?
No, wait, talk to me.
I've only just started the story.
There's more. It gets better.
It gets better, I swear. There's even commercial breaks.
Well, Geoff, this has been fun. I feel like we're just going to be giggling for the next few 10, 15 minutes here.
Yeah.
Which I'm okay with.
It's
I'm very okay. Which I'm very okay with.
Fine. It's good.
So if our listeners would like to chat with you about your experience at the Tea Expo, how can they get a hold of you?
I am the Lazy Literatus on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. But probably don't reach me on YouTube because I will not respond.
Forget YouTube. No, don't forget YouTube. You actually have some good videos on YouTube.
I have a few, and I'm probably going to be doing more just because I have so many teas to go through and some that don't have a story to them. So it might just be me just going method on the camera, no cuts, and rambling about stuff.
Right. The mysterious real deal tea.
Yeah.
Tea with no labels. That's the
Tea with no labels. God, that sounds like an album.
It does. It's the band that's with the lead singer that is you.
Welcome.
Minimal dancing.
We are Lou You Recharge, and this is a song from our album, Tea of No Name, or No Labels. Either, I don't know. We were really stoned, we were really tea drunk when we made this, so I hope you enjoy it, or whatever.
Or whatever, whatever you want. So if our listeners would like to chat or follow the show, we are at The Tea Fix on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So Geoff, this has been a lot of fun.
Agreed.
And I'm gonna have to track down some of this fried chicken tea, and maybe we can chat about that after the show. I really want to try this fried chicken tea. So, all right, Geoff, we'll chat next week.
Aye.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye.
If you enjoyed listening to this episode, please subscribe and rate the show on iTunes, YouTube, and Google Play. This helps other listeners find our show, and if you'd like, please leave us a review. Thanks!